Good morning, everyone. It's Glenn Kellaway coming to you from the basement. Hopefully, everyone is doing well. It is a beautiful Thursday morning. I am going to start a new series inspired by two things. First, the great Jeff Witcher. I hope you watch Jeff's channel. If not, please go and subscribe to Jeff Witcher's channel. Um, Jeff has started a series where he's counting down his favorite albums, 100 albums of all time, and I think he's done two so far. He's up into the 80s or something. So, but Jeff's got a great collection, and that's a pretty interesting series. So check him out. Secondly, there was a big, thick book that came out a few years ago, 1,001 albums you need to hear before you die. So I kind of took both of those because I've already done my favorite albums of all time. I did it a couple of years ago, and this is pretty similar. I'm just throwing a different thing in it. So I'm calling this 101 albums you need to hear before you die. So we're going to start today from going from 101 up to 91. Let's see where this takes us. I kind of was grabbing albums through my collection. It was kind of fun and just going, yeah, that would be an interesting album to show. That would be cool. That would be cool. And once I get up a little higher, it'll get more into the meat and potatoes of my favorite records. But these are all albums that I love, and I am going with every genre. So I'm going to be throwing bluegrass albums at you, and some alt country, and some folk, and some jazz, and a lot of classic rock, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Beatles and whatever. So let's start. So number 101 is an album I always loved. Came out in the 70s. Arlo Guthrie's Honos Lullaby. This is my favorite Arlo Guthrie album. I'm a fan of Arlo's, and this has the hit he did when he covered Steve Goodman's brilliant song City of New Orleans, which was a big hit for Arlo. This album is fantastic. It's real rootsy. There's some great folk songs. He covers a couple of his dad's songs on here. He covers a Dylan song on here, When the Ship Comes In. He does some old kind of standard songs like Ukulele Lady and Anytime. Ry Cooder plays on this album. Here's the people who contributed to this album if you've never heard it. Hoyt Axton, Byron Berline, Roger Bush, Ry Cooder, Doug Dillard, Chris Etheridge, Vanetta Fields, Richie Hayward, Jim Keltner, Clyde King, what other names? Spooner Oldham, all names that you kind of see. Linda Ronstadt and Clarence White. I mean, there's a lot of people on this album, and it's a really good album. You should check it out. It is on the Reprise label. You can find it in the wild used. It's but well worth checking out. Arlo Guthrie's Honos Lullaby. Next, a jazz album many consider one of the greatest sounding records of all time. This is a jazz artist from Chicago. She's a vocalist with kind of a deep, I don't know, you call it a smoky voice, sultry. Plays jazz piano, wonderful piano player. Does a lot of covers and does some original tunes. But this album is an absolute masterpiece. Cafe Blue. If you're not aware of this album, you should check it out. Like I said, this is one of the greatest sounding records of all time. I don't care if you just buy a Red Book CD or you find just a vinyl issue. There's all kinds of MoFi issues. There's a one step. There's this SACD MoFi original master recording is absolutely incredible sounding. It's worth a ton of money now, over $100 I think to buy this. I think they did re-release it on SACD, but this is the original. Just incredible. For the covers on this one, she does a really cool version of Ode to Billy Joe, the Bobby Gentry song, and she does Taste of Honey on here. Very cool, like really real spacious. There's lots of room in the music. It's not heavy jazz stuff. It's very musical and just give it a listen and give it another listen and give it another listen, and I'm sure this is going to become one of your favorite albums. Patricia Barber, Cafe Blue. Next, one of my favorite artists. He's going to show up a couple times too, but this album had to be on a list. Guitar Town, Steve Earle. This defines genres, this album. It rocks. It's country. It's just a great frickin' record from start to finish. I mean, the song Guitar Town is... This album put Steve on the map. Guitar Town's on here. Hillbilly Highway's on here. My Old Friend the Blues, a great song. Someday, one of my favorite Steve Earle songs. Just a fantastic, fantastic record. This was given to me. An original pressing of this record was gifted to me from Aaron Mutha Alomar. Aaron, I thank you so much again and again and again for that, because it's just an awesome record. A gift that keeps giving. Okay, number 98, an album that came out a couple of years ago, and I believe was my album of the year in 2020, maybe, or 2020. Yeah, 2020, I think. The Dirty Knobs, Reckless Abandon. Mike Campbell's project after the Heartbreakers unfortunately met their demise with Tom's passing. This is an incredible record. It's rocky, it's bluesy, it's folky, it's fun, it's got great guitar in it, great vocals, just an amazing, amazing record. It has never not left my turntable really since it's always in my heavy rotation pile. The Dirty Knobs, Mike Campbell. If you haven't heard this, check it out. They also have a second album out, which I haven't bought yet. Okay, next on my list, Black Sabbath. You know, if you watch my channel, you know I'm not really a big heavy metal guy, but I do like some Sabbath. And this was always, Paranoid is my favorite Sabbath album, but I always liked this one. Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality. Great, great record. I think this is like their, fourth or fifth album or something. Maybe some Sabbath fans could tell me. This is Warner Brothers. It has some great cuts on here. Sweet Leaf is one of my favorite songs, which is the opening track. And then there's that part that opens up with the cough. Oh, man. Just always blew me away. But, yeah, Sabbath. I mean, a great band. And Masters of Reality. Next, let's do some jazz, but very accessible jazz. Again, if you're kind of interested in jazz, or say you don't like jazz, check out Grant Green. This guy's an amazing guitar player. Typically, the musical arrangements involve around Grant Green playing guitar and then like a Hammond B3 organ, and he's just an amazing musician and put out some great albums. It's like I said, these are what I suggest for people who don't think they like jazz. You got to check out Grant Green. Amazing, amazing record. This was a reissue. So this had Joe Henderson on tenor sax, Bobby Hutcherson on vibes, Grant Green guitar, Duke Pearson on piano, Bob Kershaw bass, and Al Harwood on drums. Okay, what's next on the list here? At number 95, we are going with Donovan. I'm a big Donovan fan. This is probably my favorite Donovan album, and I thought it should be higher on the list, but there's just so many great albums out there. Donovan's Sunshine Superman. I guess this is kind of like a psych album for Donovan. This was a reissue from a few years ago on colored vinyl, but I mean, this has Sunshine Superman on it, and it has Season of the Witch on it. You can't do better than that. So, fantastic record from Donovan. Next, Randy Nelson's going to say, why is this ranked so low on your list? I can see the comment coming now. Warren Zevon's debut album. What else would you call it? How about Warren Zevon? They probably sat around the room trying to think of what to call the album. It was right there in front of them. This is when I discovered Warren, right when this album came out, because it was produced by Jackson Browne, and I was a big Jackson Browne fan, and I still vividly remember my buddy Gord and I at Sam the Record Man in Toronto. looking through records and seeing this, who the hell's Warren Zevon, turning it around, and it said produced by Jackson Browne, and it was an instant purchase. Great album. Fantastic. It has Frank and Jesse James on it. Hasten Down the Wind, Poor Pitiful Me, which was covered brilliantly by Linda Ronstadt. I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, Muhammad's Radio, one of my all-time favorite songs, and Desperado Under the Eaves. Great people playing on this album. Waddy Wachtel, who's just has a resume a mile long. David Lindley, the great David Lindley. Phil Everly doing harmonies on one of the songs. Jackson Browne doing harmonies. J.D. Souther. Who else is on here that we would know? Bobby Keys playing the sax. Lindsey Buckingham doing a harmony on Poor Pitiful Me. Glenn Frey and Don Henley doing harmonies. Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks do the harmonies on Muhammad's Radio. Bonnie Raitt. I mean, just incredible. Wow. Carl Wilson. Carl Wilson's on here doing in Desperado Under the Eaves. The vocals on that song, the harmonies are the Sid Sharp strings, Carl Wilson, Billy Hinch, Jay Winding, Jackson Browne, and Warren Zevon, arranged by Carl Wilson. Very cool. Sam will be going, hey, I better get that record, being the Beach Boys fan that he is. Okay, number 93. Some people might think I'm ranking this low, but, you know, Zeppelin Presence. It made the top 101. I didn't like this album back in the 70s when it came out. Now I'm a big fan. Achilles' Last Stand is one of their greatest songs, and man, you could make a debate that it's one of the best Zeppelin openers on any of their albums. The album gets a little weaker from there, but still pretty outstanding. I'm a fan of Presence, so there you go. That's coming in at number 93. 92, Buffalo Springfield. Really two outstanding records, the first debut and Buffalo Springfield again. I saw Jeff showed this in his first 10 albums, I think, so it's also showing up on mine, but this one has Mr. Soul on it, Expecting to Fly, Bluebird, Broken Arrow, just a outstanding record. This is a reissue as well on the Atco label. And last but not least, to end off this segment at number 91, the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Everybody went nuts for this album in 1985. Born in the USA. This was the album that made Bruce a ton of frickin' money and got him a ton of airplay. Took him from being the next Bob Dylan and a respected artist to being an absolute freaking superstar. This is his most commercial record as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the hits on here: Born in the USA, Cover Me, I'm on Fire, No Surrender, Bobby Jean, Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, My Hometown. I mean, just chock full of it. This, you know, you always think of Creed's Clearwater Revival's Factory, Cosmos Factory. I had a senior's moment. Creedence's Cosmos Factory, to me, is almost like a hits album, and this is very similar in terms of every song is just, it could be a number one hit. So that's the start of this journey. 101 albums you need to hear. Some of them I'm sure you've heard. I'm positive you've heard. Some you may not have heard, and I encourage you to listen to them. And if there's anything obscure in there that I've piqued your interest on, would you please leave a comment for me? Please give me some thumbs up and the like button, and have a great day. I will be back with part 2 in the next day or so. Take care. Have a great day.